Hello out there, the fairy queen of shadow style, Titania Bird here, and welcome to the theater of my mind, the place where I put on a show for you talking about characters I've either created or played or things I have done in tabletop RPGs. Apologies for this one being a little bit late. There have been things I've had to contend with this particular week, if you're watching this the week that it goes up. Not the least of which being this past weekend having one of the worst cases of dehydration that I've ever had to contend with. If you ever wonder why streamers have a little bot that reminds them to drink water or some other such hydrating liquid, I can tell you, there's a damn good reason why. But enough about that. As of late, we have been going through a series of D&D characters based on my superhero universe known as Temet Nosce. And so far we've done the main heroine, her mentor slash partner, and her arch nemesis. But I bet you're wondering where she gets those wonderful toys from. The little electric shield or her neat flight apparatus. Well, actually, there's a very good place that she gets it from. I believe I have mentioned her by name before. There is a electrician amongst Temet Nosce who is the daughter of the leader and the main armor smith, the main weaponsmith, who creates high-tech gadgets, communicators, the talent system that Scarlet uses, like I said, all kinds of things. And her name is Tatia Alekseyev, but codename Blue Fox. She is a teenage girl, about 16-ish at the point of the story where I am right now. Has already graduated high school, an absolute whiz with electronics, and ever so slightly electrokinetic. She has the ability to manipulate electricity to kind of help her weld things. Very mechanically gifted. Whenever there's something that her father cannot create because it's less forgy and more fabricating or electronics related, that's where Tatia comes into play. Of course, since she is a teenage girl, she's a very energetic little scamp, though a little bit more modest than you would expect for a teenager, mostly because she, being from the internet generation, has been able to find this out pretty easily. She is actively asexual. I did that partially because I didn't want to sexualize her in any of my stories because she's underage, but partially because she's a very open and gregarious and even to some degrees affectionate. She loves hugging people. But I wanted to have representation in my stories of people who are ace, and specifically people who are ace that aren't quote unquote emotional robots. So that is basis of Tatia in the Temet Nosce story. Let's talk about her as D&D character. Again, I'm going to start with the description because, again, she is a teenager, chaotic good. She's done a lot of stuff that is technically against the rules in her time. She's hidden special projects from her parents. I remember one time writing kind of an offhand joke that she took one of the things that she made at work to school to get extra credit in her shop class. Just, again, everybody, when you're a teenager, you're just a little bit of an asshole. It doesn't matter how you were raised. When you're a teenager, you're going to be a little bit of an asshole. Most of us grow up out of that. Others don't, but let's not get into that because there's going into realms that are probably going to piss people off. But yeah, she's used to helping people who aren't as smart as she is. She's very intelligent, and she's able to work with people who maybe aren't quite as intelligent in the same realms that she is to understand what it is that she's trying to do. The talent system was actually kind of a joint project between her and Scarlet, where Scarlet just kind of mapped out what she wanted to do, and what had been happening when she tried to just fly with her telekinesis before that. And Tatia used her knowledge of Scarlet's powers, as well as her knowledge of mechanics and physics and whatnot, to create the flight apparatus known as the Talon system. But that's just kind of how she is. We're also going to jump quickly into Rachel because instead of doing a custom lineage, I just went with Variant Human this time. And because she is electrokinesis, I gave her the feat Elemental Adept Lightning. Again, manipulation of electrical energy to be able to get it to work properly. Gives her resistance to electrical damage. Kind of gives her a little boost whenever she uses anything electrical. While we're here on a related note of feats, of course, she's very observant. She's she's partially a sneaky little girl, but she's also one who's very on her game on such sort of things. In relation to that, well, we'll go ahead and take a look at her attributes and skills. Of course, very dexterous, very intelligent. Average strength. She doesn't possess like the brute strength that her father has. She's more strong in the mental states. A bit wise for her age. Definitely very charismatic. Again, the instant that Scarlet met her, she was like, this girl is like little sister energy from me. I must protect the cinnamon roll. You know, so even though there's like 12 years of difference between Tatia and Scarlet, it's just, they bonded like very instantly. And it's kind of the same thing with Angela when she was still in Temet Nosce. They kind of had that older sister, little sister vibe between them there as well. So, of course, she's very fluent in the arcane, which really just, in terms of what she does, equates to being able to use powers or enhance powers with the devices she creates. A very well-studied person. Again, she graduated high school early in my stories. Very perceptive, sleight of hand and stealth. Again, that there's that sneaky teenage girl there. You know, she's got a bit of a rebel in her, and it's a benevolent rebel, but she's not above doing things just for the hell of it. I kind of skipped over this part, but she is part Artificer Wizard, and Artificer Wizard is actually kind of an interesting combination to me, because, of course, they're both intelligence classes. But on the one hand, you have the Artificer, which I like to think of as magic as engineering. And then you have the Wizard, which is magic as science. So you've got the Wizard that like researches and develops the various different spells. And you've got the Artificer, which finds ways to apply magic into devices and into armor and stuff like that. So I kind of like the interplay of those two. I think they make for a very good multi-classing, and I kind of have a reputation amongst some of my friends for being multi-class happy. Part of the reason is there is a character that I have that like went through 8 levels of Artificer and then started jumping into Wizardry in the middle of it, and it's probably going to go wizard the rest of the way. Maybe we'll talk about her in another time, but not right now. All right. As for what Miss Tatia can do, as far as artificery goes, her specific form of artificery is Battlesmith. Previously, we had Driver showing off the Armorer archetype, which is kind of the Iron Man. This is the one who like actively creates stuff for other people. Is what the Battlesmith is. She has proficiency with martial weapons, so she can use like any type of weapon under the sun of any kind, and can use her intelligence modifier as her attack. So you see having a rapier on there, even with her dex, she would have like maybe a 7 or with a +2, a 9 to attack. But no, she uses her intelligence, so it's a +10. Crossbow again, and she's proficient with the light crossbow, but it's not, she can use her intelligence modifier to attack with that instead. She also has a steel defender. I've never introduced anything like that in the stories for her, kind of like in XCOM 2 Rover, Lily Chen's little gremlin assistant that she has. Tatia does not have anything like that, but that doesn't mean I can't add it. And given that I'm mentally thinking of her in D&D space as a battlesmith, that might be something that I might want to introduce for her in the future at some point. Or maybe introduce that for a future version of her, because there are alternate universe versions of these characters that I've also written about. But I think we'll save those for another time. As far as wizardry goes, most of it is evocation, sending out power. Her battlesmithry is to infuse it into stuff. Evocation is to be able to apply what she's got. So, let's take a look at her spells here from both of the classes and show what she's got. Of course, because electrical focus, she's got lightning lure, which is kind of an electro scorpion harpoon kind of a thing. Shocking grasp, naturally. Mending is really good to have on artificers, especially certain subclasses of artificer, because for certain kinds of things, mending can actually heal, like constructs. But, of course, there's also the classics, Mage Hand, Message, Prestidigitation, things that you basically kind of want to have on a wizard. First level spell, Expeditious Retreat, for those times when you absolutely, positively have to get the fuck out of Dodge. Heroism, for those times when you actually want to make people feel better about themselves and make them stronger about themselves. Identify, because, well, it's always good to have that in the D&D context, and I think that kind of goes with her ability to kind of discern how to do things with magic and how things are done with magic, and be able to kind of replicate that. Mage armor, of course, classic thing to have. Shield. I accidentally have shield there twice over. Once for artificer, once for wizard. I might have to fix that at some point. I'm not going to do that now. Second level spells, magic weapon. Because, again, just cheap way to make a weapon that much stronger. Shatter, not electrical, but it's kind of a thing to have. I think I've mentioned it before. It's like one of my most favorite spells to use. because you just got like this little ball of energy that just goes and creates a big old boom and blows things up, and it's amazing. It's no fireball in its all-encompassing destruction, but it's fun to use. Lightning bolt, of course, because again, electrokinetic. Sending, for those times when you just have to send long distance, the long distance communication. Dimension door. How do you think she gets in and out of places really quickly, very sneakily? Fabricate, of course. Again, she builds things. How could I not give her fabricate? And 5th level slots, no new spells. Let's take a look at her inventory. All-purpose tool +3. Again, a great thing to have for an artificer, because that can just make your artificer spells all that more potent, and that way you only have to carry one set of tools around, because this one set of tools can do everything. Everything. Rapier +2. We saw that before. She has not gotten into combat yet, but if she does, I imagine kind of light fencing and kind of quick stuff is going to be her raison d'etre. Lightning resistance. Yes, of course. If she weren't already resistant to lightning, she would still be resistant to lightning. Breastplate, and it's got an attunement put onto it. The attunement put onto it is the Armor of Magical Strength, which means she can use her intelligence instead of strength checks or strength saves. Basically, the living embodiment of work smarter, not harder. And really, I think that's about the long and the short of everything. I don't think I have a heck of a lot else to say on this front. Tatia is a very, very upfront girl. Yeah, sure, she does like sneaky stuff like that, but Tatia is a very much what you see is what you get kind of girl. She's very affectionate. She's very gregarious and outgoing, smart as a whip. And, of course, she's a teenager. She's going to get in trouble for that kind of stuff. And she's a teenager, so she's still in her naivety, but she's starting to get to that age where she's figuring out who it is that she is. She loves her mom. She loves her dad a whole lot. She loves Percy and Scarlet. She's very much kind of a heart at the center of everything, because, if you need something high-tech made, you can go to Tati. But if you just need like a hug and need like a reminder that you're cared, Tatia's also the person to go to, because this silver-haired 16-year-old with just the brightest smile on her face, whether she's wearing welding goggles or some kind of protective face shield or anything like that while she's working on something, she'll just drop everything and give you a big old hug. And I have no qualms in saying that Tati is precious, and if I were to have a little sister, I would kind of want to have one like Tati. In fact, in many ways, I think Tati was partially inspired by my niece, who just recently, in like the last year, became a teenager, but she's Very smart as a whip, very fashion conscious, very artistic in her case, and it is just like a ray of sunshine. And I think I took kind of those must protect feelings about my niece and kind of somewhat inadvertently transformed them into Tatia. So when they say write what you know, it's less an absolute mandate and more just sometimes a thing that accidentally happens when you're writing characters. So there you go. At any rate, that's it for this particular episode of the Heroes of Temet Nosce of Theater of the Mind. If you like this, please give it a like. Please share it with your friends. Next time, we might step away from Temet Nosce for a little bit and try going over one of the characters that I've actually played and talk a little bit about her. Until next time, the show is over. I shall take my bow.